we create ourselves through long years of rigorous training, sacrifice, denial, pain.
We put into work an idea, which we cleared with Dick Marr at first, of Hans Island.
Hans Island never really existed. I mean, we needed to establish an island in the film. One of the actors was a pilot. We took off in his little single-engine plane, took the door off, I got my camera out, and we started taking pictures of islands, took pictures of mansions, and put them all together into one composite photograph that became the Hans Island of the film. The pilot of the plane was Roy Chow, who played the monk in the monastery at the opening.
And by the way, we shot that on a tennis court.
Well, we found a series of step tennis courts that were just marvelous.
But nobody notices. If you look closely in the film, you'll notice the lines on the greenery. We had to paint them all over with green.
I mean, they don't look like tennis courts. They look like fields where a man like Han would be working with his army of martial artists.
I was used to crews from Hollywood that were very experienced. And so the crew was like the equipment taking a step back in time.
The lab we used for developing the film was the filthiest place I've ever seen. Cobwebs hanging, dust inches thick. How we got a film that looks like the film we got out of there, I will never know.
And the tools for lighting were very simple. In Hollywood, you had a lot of tools to control light. And over there, I think we had window screen, black paper, rope, and clothespins.
I think the most difficult part of it was that we had come up with a very ambitious film, and we worked very hard to pull it off.
The whole electrical crew didn't speak any English, and so I tried to get a communication going there.
When we started, all we had was Chinese crews.
So I got about 10 words of Chinese and wrote them on a little card, you know, like turn the light on, turn the light off.
The whole process was slower than we had hoped for. I mean, the biggest problem was communication.
Obviously, my Chinese wasn't very accurate because most of the times when I would say something, they just thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
As we went along, we learned about the crew, they learned about us, and we came up with a very positive way of making things work.
But we had a very good time, and they were very hardworking, and once we actually started doing things where we would turn a light on and I would go over and show them what we wanted, they were very accommodating.
The skill of the Chinese craftsmen working at things that they knew how to do was just outstanding.
Bob had an idea for the island when we came there to sort of fill up the frame with a lot of flags. So we had some flags made, and then we needed some flag poles. Well, there weren't any, so we had them made.
I'll never cease to be amazed when this old man came in with a bag of plaster, some sticks and wire, and at the end of the day there'd be a 4-foot temple dragon or a 6-foot statue of a Chinese warrior.
And they just did a wonderful job.
I mean, the casting of the film was really kind of amazing.
We selected John Saxon because we had heard that he was very interested in martial arts.
The interest in karate was spreading all over the place. That was the reason why I decided to do it.
I was surprised at how good he was.
Yeah.
Talking over how to do the scene in the golf course with Bob Klaus and Fred Weintraub, I felt I had to demonstrate to them what I meant. So I began doing all kinds of leaping kicks that I could do at that time, you know, scissor kicks and so on.
I know he worked really hard during the shooting.
But I felt that I had sufficient preparation, I thought, to do a movie, you know. I was a little overestimation.
Yeah, I think when he got to Hong Kong, he really saw these guys working, and he was working every day.
It was, I think, about 8 days of continuous fight scene stuff. I got to tell you, but after those 8 days, I had had enough of doing the karate movie. I didn't want to do any more of these fight scenes. I thought, come on, give me back to something that is a drama, that is an internal thing, an emotional sort of situation. I was glad it was over in those 8 days, yeah.
Bruce had a lot to say. He had a lot of recommendations in terms of the martial artists, and we kind of deferred to him in the final choice because he'd be the one to work with them in their martial arts areas.
He had worked with most of these guys in America.
Bob knew Bruce, I guess, from competition.
Bruce's and my relationship was slow in developing. In a way, we kind of had a tease each other, almost to say smart aleck things to each other, kind of a relationship for quite a while.
There's no question there was a competitiveness there.
In the shooting of the film, when that accident with the broken glass happened, it got way blown out of proportion.
We shot that scene several times, 8 times to be exact, the particular scene with the broken bottles.
The problem was, believe it or not, a very simple thing. They didn't have breakaway glass in Hong Kong at that time.
And then, you know, rumors feed on themselves. They don't have to have a lot of substance.
They used regular glass in all their movies.
And so each time we'd shoot the scene, I'd have to break the real bottles. And Bruce instructed me to take the jagged edge of my right hand, which I had one in each hand, but lunge with the right hand at his right pec. And Bruce's words were, "Come at me as fast as you can."
And Bruce insisted that the action be so realistic.
And he wanted to get it perfect. Everything had to be perfect with Bruce.
It was a fraction of an inch, and Bruce got cut.
And it was lightning fast. I mean, I just lunged as fast as I could, and whap, it was over. And Bruce had his right hand up, and he started to spin. And as he spun, he jammed his fist into the glass.
Now, it truly was an accident.
Truly an accident. We were both there on the set. I saw it.
You know, I told him how sorry I was involved. He said, "It's not your fault. Just one of those things that happened."
One of the most interesting things about the selection of the actors was how we finally got Jim Kelly. It was really a last-minute thing, because what had happened is we had another actor signed on to do it. 2 days before we were ready to leave, this martial artist actor decided he wasn't going to go. And so we had to find somebody else.
We went to the studio and saw Jim working.
Down
yeah,
in Crenshaw, I think it was.
yeah.
And at night we went down there and we saw Jim Kelly working. He looked great. And 2 days later,
He was on the plane.
You know what was going on, and it was fast.
One of my most favorite players was Angela Mao, who played Bruce's sister. She was so petite, so darling, and what a martial artist.
And we saw her in a film that she had played the lead in when we were in Hong Kong. And when she was presented to us, we flipped over. And she was so cooperative and such a good actress. Paul and I, we just saw this guy. He just looked so wonderful.
And then he took his shirt off. You knew he had to be in the movie. Well, Peter Archer was in Hong Kong, I believe, at the time that we made the film.
And that's where I came in. I was a local martial artist and a foreigner on the spot.
But he was really quite good, and I loved the scene in the boat.
There was a boat scene on a junk heading out of Aberdeen Harbour, and one of the things that this particular scene called for was for me to jump off the deck of the junk and into this little dinghy.
I think I was out there on the boat at that time.
Yeah, you were.
I was out there, and Bruce was really pissed at him a little. Something had happened between the two of them.
But I was being towed behind the junk at the end of a long rope.
And he wasn't supposed to stay out there that long on the boat. And Bruce made the kids not bring him in so fast.
And this chap on the bullhorn on the back of the junk was saying, "Pull on the rope, pull on the rope." Get mad. So I'm shaking my fist and pulling on the rope at the same time as the bow of the dinghy was disappearing under the waves. So.
Whatever happened to the boy?
Tong Wei, the boy who played the little boy from the monastery.
Whatever happened to him?
He's a director now. He's an important director in Hong Kong.
其實就係咁噶，因為我哋最初嗰陣時做緊 stunt 嘅啦，咁有一個叫關正良師傅，咁佢哋話俾我聽，佢哋沙龍公司佢哋需要一個後生仔做一個咁樣嘅演員，咁就揾咗我去咯。咁我本身係 stunt 嚟嘅，咁啊好細個咁做 stunt 咁樣去咯，咁試咗，咁俾個導演睇，咁導演 OK 咁做。
We were all packing it in and going home, and Bruce, by that time, was so wound up he didn't want to quit. And he invented that little scene at the monastery.
But I think after he saw some of the rushes of the film, he got real excited and went back and shot that.
Yeah. For that one, he called Sammo Hung. Sammo was one of his old good friends.
And then after he shoot get off that, halfway they stop. They stop, they shoot, and then they drag it. They fire me, then they call me. I want you to be in my movie, fight with me. Then we rehearsal, we don't do anything, we just talking. Give me punch, I punch you, yeah, I block you, okay, yeah, ready to take. action.